And three, two, and we're rolling. Oh, welcome to today's show. We have Dave Fetcher on tap for today's show. I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Big E Fit Games. So, Dave, how are you today?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. First, I got to say thank you for doing all this. I know you put in a lot of work for getting all these guys, all these guests on here, and grinding and working all your contacts to get the right people on here. So, first of all, testament to you guys. But second, thanks for inviting me.
Oh man, I'm honored to have you in front of me right now. So, Dave, man, tell me a little bit about yourself, man. What are you doing here in Houston?
So I've been in Houston. I'm originally from Philadelphia, but I've been in Houston for about 6 years now. And what I do is I run a school that certifies people to become personal trainers, whether they're independent trainers or trainers at gyms or whatever. So our school, we have about 30 schools across the country. Originally from, like I said, Philadelphia. I originally started teaching in Philadelphia, but then I transferred down here to Houston, and I saw a pretty good need for qualified trainers versus just certified. That's, I think, a big difference here is the quality of training that you see. So that's kind of what we do. So it's a 6-month course. We do anatomy, physiology, exercise science. We're essentially a kinesiology and nutrition program, similar to what you would get in school, minus or in college, minus the other subjects that nobody really pays attention to anyway.
That's awesome, man. It sounds like you're making a very important impact on your community. So, moving forward, is fitness one of your hobbies, or is it something that you're really passionate about? Tell me more about that.
So I started, I guess the passion side of things started in high school. So I was a basketball player in high school. I got picked up by a team in college, and then after college, I played as well. So I played for a year in Australia, and then I played with the Washington Generals, a team that plays the Globetrotters, basically. So I did that for 2.5 years, and I've always really been into the fitness side of things, health and wellness. Just kind of always had that in me, and I was one of the only guys, at least in high school and college. I was the only guy in the gym all the time. So if you ever needed me, that's where I was. So it's been a big part of my life for a long time. And it is still my hobby. I spend probably 10 hours a day in a gym somewhere in Houston. So currently we're out of the core, which is kind of downtown Galleria area. I also spend a lot of time out in Katy. There are 2 gyms that I'm associated with in Katy. One is Proactive Lifestyle Fitness. It's on I-10 and Mason. And the other one's Absolute Fitness and Nutrition on Westheimer and Saddlebrook. So it's kind of the outskirts of Katy, but both of those. So I'm usually at one of those 3 places all the time.
Oh wow, man, you sound very, very dedicated. Do you think the general population they need to have a gym membership? How important is that?
I don't necessarily think every single person needs to have a gym membership. The one thing that I really run into a lot with talking to people is a lot of times a gym membership is very intimidating. You have this conception that people who are going to the gym are already the people who are fit and look fantastic, and really can be unmotivating and scary for a lot of the population that we see, especially here in Houston. The overweight, the even elderly clients, things like that. So I don't think it's mandatory to have a gym membership. But I do think it's mandatory and necessary to do something active or be active, and whether that's in home, whether that's in parks and boot camps and things like that. But as long as you have somebody working with you or a knowledgeable background, I think that's important.
Okay, cool. Within your industry, I know you're an instructor, you're an educator. How important is that for the fitness community? I know you said 10 hours a day teaching and educating and making sure the next generation is around. So how important is that, not only to you, but how important is it to the actual fitness industry?
I think it's very important. I think a well-educated um, trainer, or at least the need for well-educated trainers is definitely out there. The problem with some of the uh, trainers that I've seen and that I've run into is they can only work with a very narrow clientele base. They only know how to train, maybe how they work out themselves. When you have
Right.
somebody who's got some education behind them, they can then take special populations. They can then take professional athletes or college athletes and really give them a well-designed program that's going to benefit that individual's goal. One of the kind of immediate things that I really see in gyms, especially some of your bigger chain gyms, is that you have Joe Balloons, who's never worked out a day in his life, coming in doing 3 sets of 10 reps of bicep curls, because that's what the trainer does and that's what the trainer likes to do. So I don't necessarily think that's going to benefit that person as much as it would benefit, say somebody else, somebody who is trained, for a quick little example. So I think the well-educated is going to be much, much better at serving the community and serving at least the Houston area. And that's kind of my goal and my passion. I want everybody to have as much education as they possibly can.
Well, there's never never too little education, especially in this industry. I strongly agree with you with that. So what are some of the myths out there that we can kind of debunk in these next 26 minutes? Like what are some things that that I guess the general public would be confused about? I know. Well, I'll give you an example. For instance, like women who lift weights, they feel like they're going to get bulky. How do you feel about that? Like that's got to be one of the biggest ones out there, I think.
I agree with you. I think one of the biggest misconceptions with training in general is this term tone, and you hear it a lot. I want to be toned. I want to be toned. I want to be toned. And when you look at the definition of tone, tone means muscular contraction. That's basically all it is. It's a small grade muscular contraction. So for you to say, I want to be toned, I don't really know what you mean. You want to walk around with your muscles contracted all day long? I don't think that's your goal. So what people really want to do is lose body fat, and that's going to allow them to kind of show, or allow them to have that kind of ripped or muscular look. Now, the misconception about picking up dumbbells is automatically going to make you build muscle or look like a bodybuilder, look like Arnold, or look like Archie. That's something that definitely has to be talked about between the client and the trainer. They don't have the physiology, especially for women. They don't have the physiology and the hormones to get as big as Arnold or as big as a bodybuilder would be. And it actually increases the strength of the bone and increases the strength of the muscle from a physiological level and standpoint. That really kind of carries over into everyday life, and it really makes living a lot better and kind of prevent that frailty, prevent that osteoporosis, prevent all those other things that you run into just by picking up some dumbbells and lifting them, and not being afraid to lift things that are relatively heavy for that person.
Right, that's an awesome answer. How do you think training and lifting weights and working out, how does that correlate with your mental health? Does it help, or do you think is that a myth as
I don't
well?
think it's necessarily a myth. I think, especially training from my standpoint and my clients and all the people that I've worked with, that can hopefully the fitness facility that you're working out in is your sanctuary. That should be your place to get away from everything, get away from work, get away from some of the other stressors that people run through or have in their lives. So going to a gym and taking your aggression out on a dumbbell or a barbell, or taking a medicine ball and slamming it into the ground as hard as you can, I think are really good ways to alleviate some of that built up stress. And stress can really wreak havoc on the body. It can cause joints to ache. It can cause inflammation. It can cause, obviously, you to prevent you from losing weight, or keep you overweight. And it just kind of piles up, piles up, piles up. So finding a stress reliever definitely is necessary, especially for a lot of people who work really, really hard to make a living, they need some way to kind of release that energy.
Okay, awesome answer. But I got questions. I'm gonna just ask
Fire
you
away,
questions,
man.
and you're just gonna shoot from the hip. All right. So, what's the importance of sleep? Can you tell us about sleep? Because I know, like some days I'll get to bed around 1 or 2 a.m. and I have to be up at 6. Like I'm sure that has a direct effect on my gains. I hate
You
to
could
say
say
gains, but
gains.
my late I could say gains. All right, I'm gonna say it. So I'm sure that's gonna have an effect on me. So what are some things that I should do to in order to help me get to sleep? Sometimes my mind is racing and stuff like that. What do you recommend?
So I think besides counting sheep, that doesn't work for you.
Man, I don't know what a sheep
Yeah,
looks
no,
like,
that's all right. But yeah, we don't
man.
mess with that. So, the sleep side of things is very important. Honestly, when you sleep, that's when your body's recovering and repairing from everything that you did throughout the day. So, super important to sleep.
Right.
Now, the amount of sleep that you get is really, really varied depending on the person. You've more or less adapted to how much sleep you actually get. I think it's somewhat tough to go 8 hours of sleep. You need 10 hours of sleep. You need 6 hours of sleep. I don't think you can put a definitive answer on that for every person. But it does have a major effect on your body, and I think that's the most important thing. In terms of your games, especially if you emphasize.
Hey, Dave,
Yeah,
1 second, brother. Yeah, we're breaking up a little bit. Let's see if we can. Hello, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, you're still going in and out. But yeah, okay, all right. What you were saying about sleep as far as gains.
So your sleep is going to help your uh, with your strength training and get you to recover from whatever you did previously, whatever your workout was, um, and we kind of go from there. So I know we said connection issue. I got full.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm refreshing everything.
Okay. Okay, yeah, refresh 1 second.
You good?
Say a sentence.
What do you want me to say?
That's
That
awesome.
work?
All right,
All right.
cool. All right, yeah, you're back. So moving forward. So I guess one of the main issues is like getting people to rest appropriately or getting the proper amounts of rest. I know some folks, their jobs don't allow, if it's kids or a significant other, they're challenged. So are you a believer in naps?
Yeah, I think naps are good too, depending on obviously what you're being put through. I'm not
Right.
saying you should start napping at work, but I think it can give you that little bit of refresh and a little bit of re-energize you to help make you through the day.
Okay, awesome, awesome. All right, going back to I guess the personal trainer. Well, you speaking to trainers. So how important is it for you and your students and other trainers to actually know the scientific terms behind what they're doing? Do you think that's an issue, or do you think common names are good enough, or do you feel like giving a more thorough explanation will help the client in the long run?
So one of my all-time favorite quotes is, "If you can't explain it simply, you don't know it well enough." So I think it's important for the trainer to understand and know what's going on and know the scientific background and know the processes and know the all the muscular terms and things like that. But to relay that to a client or to relay that to just kind of somebody who's not really interested in the body as us trainers are, I think that kind of gets in the way. So I think if you can give them a simple, quick, easy answer, they understand it better, but you still
Hmm.
have the fundamental knowledge and you still have the fundamental um, wherewithal essentially of why you're doing whatever it is that you're doing or what you're talking about. To give you a silly little example, we just learned how muscles contract. We just went through this big, complicated process. And it's about how we use to help teach that. And more or less muscles and
Hey Dave, 1 second. You're going in and out again.
go out and come back.
Okay. Hello, Dave.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want me to go out?
Oh, so no, we're not recording. Okay, now we're recording. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So you were saying, like, if you can't explain it in a more simple term, you should kind of stay away from it as a trainer.
I think so. I think if you can't explain things simply enough, then you might not have a full handle on, what you're talking about or what you're doing. So that's kind of my opinion. One of the things that I really focus on with our students and even with myself is making sure we know what we're doing and why we're doing it, but be able to relay that information to the client very easily in a simple, quick manner that they understand and makes sense to them.
Okay, awesome. We'll hit back on that in a few, but another myth came up. So, which form of training benefits the most? I mean, is there any one style of training that is more beneficial to a general population, or do you think all different aspects of training is beneficial to everyone? So, what do you think?
Again, I think it's going to be really dependent upon the client and the client's goals. I think for somebody like us, our style of training is going to be really different and have a different flair and a flavor than somebody looking to, somebody who's morbidly obese or has a health condition that their doctor basically sent them into the gym for. So I think there are benefits of every style of training, and those different styles can be kind of interchanged and inserted here and there. So it's a tough question to ask and a tough myth to bust because it is very dependent upon the person. But for general population, when you look at general population, the trying to lose body fat side of things, I think it needs to be some sort of faster paced weight training or somewhat heavy weight training, but at a faster rate. So I really like kind of the Tabata side of things, the interval training side of things, as long as they're pushing themselves to a fair extent. I think that's going to be their best bet.
That sounds like very, very awesome advice. Well, we have a Fit Games on June the 4th out in the Woodlands. Is that something that you'll be interested in coming to?
Yeah, so I think I'm attending that, and I'm actually bringing a couple students, I believe, that are coming up there as well to check everybody out. I know, I think I actually have two people I know that are going to get on stage up there.
Oh,
So
wow.
it should be fun. It should be a cool little event. And I know they have all kinds of strongman. They have obviously the bodybuilding and physique side of things. They also doing CrossFit stuff, right? Is that
Yeah, I
yeah?
think they will be doing CrossFit.
So it
Yeah.
should be fun.
How do we, the general public, how do we reach you, man? Like, what do you prefer? Emails? Is there a phone number? Is there a website? How do we get in contact with Dave?
So we can do a bunch of different things. So obviously, if you Facebook NPTI Houston, you can obviously get in contact with me at any point there, send a message, whatever you need. I can also give you email. So if anybody has specific questions, I'll be more than happy to kind of give them any advice that I can, whether that's in training, whether that's in setting up a gym, whether that's in, whatever, I'll be more than happy to, give you my advice and my opinion on things. So my email, I guess, very easy. It's my first name, David, my last name, Boettcher, at N as in Nancy, P as in Peter, TI Houston.com. So I'll type that in the message. You can kind of.
So I know you're a very busy guy. So are you accepting clients at this time while you're while you're an instructor, or how does that work?
So with clientele or potential clientele, I have very, very limited and scarce time available. So I do have a couple really good people that are essentially kind of on staff, if you want to call it that, more or less contacts and former students and just people that I know who really take what we've just talked about and really are fantastic trainers. So if anybody's interested in any of that, definitely contact me. I can kind of set you up with somebody who is just as good, if not better. Some of you guys are even better than me. I like that.
Man,
I just basically
that's hard. That's a very bold statement to make. Um, well, moving forward with that, like, how do we get it out that continuing education is very, very important to the industry as a whole? Like, I know some trainers, they feel like they're stuck in their ways. My way is the best way, but like, we have a problem here in Houston. We are either number one or number two in obesity, man. We gotta tackle this thing. So, how do you suppose we fix that problem?
Well, I think one of the great things about science, and I was a bio major in school, so I'm a big nerd when it comes to that. But I think one of the great things that we're finding and we're seeing is we're constantly learning more and more about the body and about how things work and how things function. So continuing education is super important um, to stay current on the latest and greatest. There are a lot of additional continuing education seminars and webinars and some great lecturers that are out and about in the Houston area, also in the Texas area, and throughout the country. And I think it's important to just say, listen, if you're a trainer, make it your goal that you can improve your business, improve yourself just one time a year. And in the 2, 3, 5, 10 years that you train, you're essentially investing in yourself, and you're just going to make yourself better and better and better. And that's going to show in your training. It's going to show in your clientele base, and it's also going to show in the people that you can actually target and help and change. And remember, we have to understand what we did or why we got into this in the first place, and that was to help people. So wouldn't we want to have as much information as we can so we can help people? So I think that's why continuing education really is important.
Awesome, awesome. Dave, do you have a blog or anything that that we can get some of this great advice, man? You just dropped some gems for us, man. We really, really appreciate it.
Again, my blogging is slim to none, but check on the Facebook on the MPTI Facebook page. I post all kinds of information, the latest and greatest studies. I post a couple of the myths that you commonly hear regarding training. So ab training, all kinds of myths in terms of diet, all kinds of other useful information for both trainers and clients alike. So if you want to check out that stuff, or if you want to just message me from there, you can. Again, with any continuing education for trainers, if I know of a lot of continuing education stuff that's coming up. So if anybody wants something, just message me and I'll send you in the right direction. So.
Okay, that's awesome, man. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap things up, man. Dave, thanks for your time, man. Time is something that we can't get back, and I appreciate you invested in this TV show and to the general public. So Hey Yoda, thank you, man. You're Dave the
And
Yoda,
you're
man.
awesome. No worries at any time. And really, again, like I said from the beginning, thank you guys. This is really cool. This is essentially the continuing education. You're making it aware of what else is out there, and I think that's really important. So keep up. You're doing the good work too. You're the front line man. So and it's good stuff. We'll call you Luke Skywalker, maybe, right? If you will call me Yoda. So. All right.
All right, man. Hey, thanks a lot. Thanks for the Star Wars reference, and hey, man,
Yeah.
rock on, man.
All
Thank
right,
you for
man.
what you do
Yep.
in your community.
You're awesome.
Talk to you
Thanks,
soon.
Archie. Yep.
Peace.
Bye.